What if something in your home right now was silently drawing spiritual energy? Not making noise, not moving, but simply existing, watching, listening, absorbing. You might pass by it every day, unaware that it's more than just an object. Some items we keep in our homes, often without a second thought, might actually be acting like spiritual magnets. These are things that don't just serve a practical purpose. Across different cultures and generations, they've held deeper meanings. Some were once tools in sacred rituals, others seen as portals or vessels for invisible forces. And even now, long after their original uses have been forgotten, these objects may still be doing what they've always done, attracting unseen energy. After deep research and a careful look at spiritual traditions from around the world, ancient texts, cultural beliefs, even first-hand experiences, I discovered 5 types of household items that show up again and again as being tied to spiritual presence. They might be sitting on your shelf, tucked away in a drawer, or even hanging on your wall. I won't name them all right away, but I will say this. Most people own at least one without ever knowing what it really is. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which items to look out for. More importantly, you'll know how to recognize their signs, how to cleanse them if needed, and how to protect your space from energy you didn't invite in. Or, if you're someone who welcomes spiritual connection, you'll learn how to engage with these items more mindfully. If you're short on time, feel free to watch at 1.5 or even 2x speed. But don't skip anything. Every detail matters. Let's begin with something that watches you, even when you're not watching it. Let's begin with something that's been in almost every home for centuries. Something you look into without thinking twice. The mirror. It reflects your image back at you, but many traditions believe it also reflects something else, something deeper. Across cultures and time, mirrors have been thought of not just as tools for seeing ourselves, but as windows to other worlds. Ancient Egyptians believed that mirrors had the power to reflect the soul. They treated polished bronze surfaces as sacred, often placing them in tombs to guide spirits into the afterlife. In ancient China, mirrors were believed to ward off evil. They were placed facing doors or windows to deflect negative spirits, almost like a spiritual security system. Some even believed that mirrors could trap spirits, holding them inside their glassy surface. Over time, these beliefs evolved into the stories we hear today, like the famous urban legend of Bloody Mary, where saying her name into a mirror is said to summon a spirit. These tales might seem like childish games, but they come from something deeper. A shared cultural belief that mirrors are more than just objects. Folklore from all over the world has similar ideas. In many traditions, mirrors are covered during a funeral or death in the family, not just out of respect, but because it's believed that the soul of the deceased could get trapped inside. Others think that mirrors left uncovered during times of grief can act like magnets, drawing in lost or wandering spirits. It's also why some people avoid placing mirrors in bedrooms, especially across from the bed, because it's said that your soul can leave your body during sleep, and a mirror might capture it before it can return. Even today, stories keep surfacing. A woman once shared how she inherited a large antique mirror from her grandmother. At first, it seemed like a beautiful piece with a lovely wooden frame. But not long after she brought it into her home, strange things began to happen. The air around the mirror always felt cold, no matter the season. Her dog would bark at it in the middle of the night, staring into the glass as if something or someone was there. Shadows would flicker in her peripheral vision, but only when she was near the mirror. At first, she thought it was just her imagination, but the more time passed, the more she felt watched. Eventually, she covered the mirror with a cloth and the disturbances stopped almost immediately. That story might sound unsettling, but it's not uncommon. Mirrors, especially old or antique ones, are believed by many to absorb energy over time. Just like a sponge, they can hold on to whatever emotions, memories, or spiritual activity surrounded them. This is why inherited mirrors or second-hand ones often come with an unseen history. You might not know what that mirror has witnessed: arguments, grief, rituals, or even the death of someone who once stood before it. So what can you do if you feel uneasy around a mirror in your home? One traditional solution is to cleanse it with salt water. Salt is known across cultures for its protective properties. Simply mixing salt with water and wiping down the mirror can help clear lingering energy. Others choose to cover mirrors at night, especially in rooms where they sleep or meditate. You can use a soft cloth or even a lightweight scarf, something that blocks the reflection but feels calming. Some people also speak aloud to the mirror, setting verbal boundaries. A simple statement like, "Only light and peace are allowed in this space," can be surprisingly powerful. It's not about being dramatic. It's about being clear with your energy. If a mirror in your space makes you uncomfortable, don't ignore that feeling. Trust your instincts. Energy, even the kind we can't see, often speaks through our emotions, our pets, or subtle changes in the room. A cold spot, flickering lights, or a restless night might just be signs that your mirror is holding more than just your reflection. And this is just the beginning. There are still 4 more common items that could be silently inviting spiritual energy into your space. The next one might be something you wear every day. And while mirrors might show us what's on the surface, some objects carry what's beneath: the feelings, stories, and energies of the people who once owned them. Jewelry and family heirlooms are some of the most powerful of these. They're not just decorative pieces or things passed down. They're carriers of emotion, history, and sometimes energy we can't see but can certainly feel. Jewelry, especially pieces made of metal and gemstones, has long been seen as more than just fashion. In many traditions, certain stones are believed to hold energy, like amethyst for protection, or rose quartz for love. Metals like gold, silver, and copper are also known to conduct energy. This makes jewelry the perfect vessel for spiritual imprints. Think about it. Rings, necklaces, and bracelets are worn close to the body, sometimes every day for years. They absorb not just skin oils and scents, but emotions, intentions, and memories. A grandmother's wedding ring, for instance, might still carry the love and bond she shared with her partner. But if the relationship was painful or filled with sadness, the ring might carry those feelings too. That's where the energy gets personal. One woman once shared a story about a necklace she received from her late aunt. It was a beautiful silver locket, old but well kept. She wore it proudly, feeling close to her aunt's memory. But over time, she started having vivid dreams about places she had never been. Dark, unfamiliar rooms and feelings of deep loneliness. She began to feel drained, especially when wearing the necklace. At first, she didn't connect the dots, but after she stopped wearing it, her sleep returned to normal. She later learned that her aunt had battled years of depression and solitude, and it seemed the necklace had held on to those emotions, quietly passing them on. This doesn't mean all jewelry is dangerous, far from it. Some pieces are filled with warmth and love. A ring from a happy marriage can bring comfort, A necklace worn during joyful moments can carry that light with it. The key is recognizing what you feel when you wear or hold these items. Do you feel heavier or lighter? Energized or tired? Do certain memories or moods suddenly appear almost out of nowhere? These could be gentle signs that the object is more than just material. It might be carrying a piece of someone's energy. Sometimes the signs are even more physical. You might notice chills when you touch a certain item. Your mood could shift suddenly, or you might feel uneasy without knowing why. In some cases, even pets might avoid or react strangely to a specific piece of jewelry or heirloom. These aren't just coincidences. They're signals, subtle ones, trying to get your attention. If you have a piece that feels heavy or unsettling, don't worry. There are ways to cleanse it. One simple method is to place the item in a bowl of sea salt or Himalayan salt overnight. Salt is known for its natural purifying qualities and can help draw out lingering energy. Another method is sunlight, placing the jewelry in the morning. Sun for a few hours can recharge and clear it. Just be careful with delicate items that might fade or heat too quickly. Sound cleansing is also growing in popularity. Using a singing bowl or tuning fork, you can let the vibrations surround and wash through the item. It's a gentle but powerful way to reset the energy. It's important to understand that not all spiritual attachments are bad. Some spirits or energies connected to heirlooms are protective, comforting, and even helpful. A locket might carry the strength of an ancestor. A brooch might have been a symbol of love and resilience. The goal isn't to fear these objects, but to respect them, to be aware of how they affect you and to make sure their energy is in harmony with yours. As we continue, we'll look at another item that's often ignored because it seems so ordinary. Yet it holds a deep connection to both the physical and spiritual world. It's something you might use every day without thinking twice. And just like heirlooms can carry memories and emotions, there's something even more direct that connects us to the unseen. Sound. Especially when that sound comes from something created to hold and release vibration. Musical instruments, whether ancient or modern, are far more than tools for creating music. They're vessels. They don't just make sound. They carry energy, absorb emotion, and sometimes even act as spiritual bridges. Since ancient times, people have believed that sound holds power beyond the physical. Different cultures used music not just for entertainment, but for healing, ceremony, and connecting with other realms. Shamans would drum to enter trance states. Monks would chant for clarity and spiritual elevation. Even in science today, we know that sound is vibration. Everything in the universe vibrates, and certain frequencies can affect mood, memory, and even the body's energy field. So it's no surprise that instruments, especially old ones, might carry more than just dust and strings. Think about a piano that has stood in the same room for 80 years, or a violin that's passed through generations. Each note ever played, each emotion poured into a melody, leaves a kind of echo behind. It's not always something we hear, it's something we feel. And sometimes, it doesn't matter if we're the ones playing. The energy remains. There are many stories about instruments that seem to have a spirit of their own. One man shared how his father's old guitar, silent for years, would occasionally strum a note late at night. Doors closed, no wind, no pets, just a soft pluck in the dark. At first, he thought it was his imagination, but it kept happening. Sometimes, even when he walked past the room, the strings would vibrate slightly, almost as if the guitar wanted to be heard again. Another woman spoke about an antique flute she bought at a market. It looked ordinary, worn but beautiful. She didn't know how to play but was drawn to it. One evening she picked it up and blew gently. What came out wasn't just a random sound, it was a melody. One she didn't know but felt strangely familiar. Her dog, usually calm, started barking toward the empty corner of the room. She felt a chill and put the flute away. But she couldn't shake the feeling that the music hadn't come from her. It had come through her. These aren't just spooky tales. They're signs. When instruments act on their own, or evoke strange emotions, or even draw reactions from animals, it could mean that spiritual energy is present. Music and sound are powerful languages. Spirits, especially those drawn to creativity or memory, might respond to them or even express themselves through them. But just like with jewelry, not all spiritual presence is harmful. Some instruments seem to carry peace, inspiration, or even comfort. Many musicians describe feeling guided when playing certain pieces, as if someone else is helping them find the notes. Mozart himself once claimed his music came to him in tiny dreams, fully formed, as if whispered by another realm. If you own an old instrument or even a new one that feels strange or powerful, it's worth checking in with how it makes you feel. Does it calm you or unsettle you? Does it bring memories or stir emotion? These are clues. To cleanse musical instruments, intention matters. Simply playing them with love and presence can refresh their energy. You can also use other sound-based methods, like ringing a singing bowl near them or using gentle chimes. Silence can also be healing. Covering the instrument for a few days, letting it rest, can allow it to reset. The goal isn't to get rid of anything, but to create balance, so that the energy the instrument holds serves you, not unsettles you. There's a beautiful side to all this too. Some instruments might open doors to creativity, intuition, and even healing. But like all tools, they must be respected, because behind every string and key, every note that lingers in the air, there might be something listening or even speaking. And now let's explore something that blends beauty with energy in a completely different way. It's found in many homes, placed on walls in corners or tucked away in shelves. But it might be quietly stirring something much deeper than just visual pleasure. While instruments speak through sound, there's another form of expression that holds just as much power, perhaps even more, because it lives in silence. Words, written ones, books, journals, old letters, sacred texts. They don't just carry stories or information. They carry energy, thoughts, emotions, intentions, all quietly resting between the pages, waiting to be felt again. Since ancient times, people have treated writing with deep reverence. Sacred texts were stored with ritual care, often wrapped in cloth and hidden away. Grimoires, books of spells, were passed through generations and feared not because of what they said, but because of what they could do. Even personal diaries kept under pillows or locked in drawers were considered private, not just for the words they held, but for the feelings they preserved. And that's the strange truth about written words. They don't die, they linger. Whether it's a joyful letter from a loved one or a painful journal entry full of heartbreak, the emotion behind the writing often imprints itself onto the pages, especially if those emotions were intense. That's why old books sometimes feel heavier than they look, not in weight but in presence. Some people believe that when we write, especially by hand, we transfer a bit of our energy into what we create. Over time, this can build up, especially in books that were deeply personal. or repeatedly read during emotional moments. If the person who wrote or owned the book has passed on, their energy might still be attached, subtly echoing through the text. There are stories of books that behave strangely, pages flipping on their own, specific passages calling out, or dreams that seem to come from unread words. One woman shared a story of her grandmother's diary, which she found in an old chest after her passing. It was filled with entries that spoke of longing, fear, and hidden secrets. After bringing the diary into her home, she started having vivid dreams, scenes she'd never lived, emotions she couldn't explain. She later discovered the diary ended abruptly, unfinished, as if something had been left undone. When she finally read the last entry out loud and lit a candle beside it, the dreams stopped, almost as if someone had been waiting to be heard. Books can carry peace too, of course. Many people find comfort in sacred texts, poetry, or inspirational journals, but even these can become charged with energy, especially if read during times of deep emotion. That's why some cultures believe in storing books carefully, wrapping them in silk or special cloth, placing protective symbols inside, keeping them away from chaotic spaces. Salt can also be used to cleanse books, not by pouring it on them, but by placing a small bowl nearby, especially overnight. It's said to absorb any lingering spiritual residue. Some people also keep protective charms, like crystals or herbs, close to where their books are stored, not to block the energy entirely, but to make sure it stays gentle. And it's worth remembering, not all spiritual presence is harmful. A book that belonged to someone you loved might carry their warmth, their memory, even their guidance, but it's important to stay aware of how it makes you feel. If you ever pick up a book and feel a wave of sadness or restlessness or even something unexplainable, it's okay to pause. You're not imagining it. You might just be feeling what was left behind. We often think of spirits in shadows or mirrors, but sometimes they speak through ink, through the quiet voice on a page, through the forgotten letter in a box, through the emotion written in and you can't quite recognize but still feel. And now we move to something that blends beauty, memory, and emotion into one powerful presence. It often sits quietly in the corner of a room or hangs gracefully on a wall. But sometimes, it holds far more than we expect, far more than just paint and canvas. Water has always been more than just a simple element of nature. Across cultures, it's been seen as a conduit for spiritual energy, a cleanser of the soul, a purifier of negative forces, and a symbol of transformation. From ancient rituals where water was used to cleanse and renew, to modern practices where it's still revered for its calming, healing properties, water holds a special place in the spiritual world. Its ability to reflect and absorb energy makes it a powerful force that can both hold and release spiritual connections. One of the most fascinating aspects of water, especially in fountains, ponds, or even indoor water features, is its reflective quality. Like mirrors, water reflects the physical world, but it also mirrors the emotional and spiritual realms. Have you ever looked into still water and felt like you were gazing into something deeper than just your reflection? It's almost as if the surface holds a secret, inviting you to look beyond the ordinary. But there's more to it. Water doesn't just reflect visually. It also has an energy that can shift the atmosphere around it. Many people report feeling a sudden calmness when near water, as if it brings clarity or peace. In fact, water is known to release negative ions, which can improve mood and energy levels. And in spiritual terms, this helps clear the surrounding space of stagnant or unwanted energy. But water can also stir up more than just calmness. When the energy around water is charged, strange things can happen. Ripples may form on the surface without any physical cause, or the water may evaporate quickly, as if it's absorbing something from the air. Some individuals even report seeing visions or receiving messages when in the presence of water, especially in reflective surfaces. These experiences aren't always easy to explain, but they're certainly not uncommon. Water has a way of unlocking hidden parts of the mind, which can lead to altered states of consciousness or dreams that feel strangely vivid and meaningful. One particular story stands out about a small water fountain that a viewer had placed in her living room. At first, it was a beautiful decorative piece, but over time, she started to notice that every time she sat near it, her dreams would become more vivid. Sometimes they were peaceful, visions of serene landscapes or family gatherings from her past, but other times they were unsettling, filled with strange symbols or shadowy figures. Eventually, she discovered that the fountain had been passed down through her grandmother's side of the family, and she realized it may have carried more than just the energy of water. It was also holding memories, emotions, and perhaps even spiritual imprints from past generations. When it comes to water features, it's important to pay attention to how they make you feel. If you notice that the energy around the water seems off, or if strange things begin happening near it, it might be time to consider cleansing it. One popular method is using moon water, which is simply water that has been charged under the light of the full moon. It's believed that moonlight can infuse the water with protective and healing properties. Simply pour some of this water over the feature or sprinkle it around the area to cleanse it of any negative energy. Another way to protect your space is by placing black tourmaline near the water. This crystal is known for its ability to absorb negative energy and protect its surroundings. Setting a clear intention while performing these cleansing rituals is also crucial, as it helps direct the energy you wish to create or remove. Water isn't just a physical element, it's a spiritual one too. It can act as a mirror to our emotions, an absorber of energy, and a connector to the spiritual realms. It's important to stay aware of how water features affect the space they inhabit, and how they affect you. They can hold memories, stories, and connections from both the past and the present. They might just be a fountain or a small pond, but they have the power to shift the atmosphere, clear negative energy, and invite spirits into your space. And sometimes, if you're open to it, they may even invite you to look beyond the surface and into something much deeper than you ever imagined. As we conclude this journey through ordinary objects that may be drawing spiritual energy, it's worth remembering that the power of the unseen can be found in the most unexpected places. Whether it's the mirror on your wall, the jewelry passed down through generations, or the simple sound of an instrument, all these items carry more than just physical presence. They carry stories, emotions, and energies that can connect us to realms beyond our own. The next time you come across one of these objects, take a moment to pause and reflect. You might just find that there's more to it than meets the eye. As we wrap up, remember that awareness is the first and most important step to spiritual safety. Understanding that some everyday items might attract spiritual energy doesn't have to be a cause for fear, but rather a reminder that we are all connected to the unseen forces around us. Not all spiritual activity is harmful. Some may even bring peace, guidance, or positive change. It's important to recognize that the energy attached to certain items can be both protective and enlightening. To maintain a balanced environment, regular cleansing methods like using salt, sunlight, or sound can help clear unwanted energies from your home. Setting clear intentions and speaking verbal boundaries are also powerful tools in managing spiritual connections and ensuring they stay positive. If you've experienced any strange occurrences with objects in your home, we'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. Your experiences might just help others understand the spiritual connections around them. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with anyone who might find it helpful. And of course, stay tuned for the next video, because you won't believe what's waiting for you on your bookshelf, ready to be discovered.